Hey guys, welcome back to another lesson. Today we're going to talk about left-hand arpeggiation patterns, and it's going to be aimed at intermediate advanced sort of players. And I do have a video aimed at beginners, which I'll link to in the description below. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a simple melody and attach some chords to it. So I'm going to play which is a C over a bass of E, a C major of course, an F major, and a G major, and then back to C. And we're going to arpeggiate it in, let's say, more sophisticated ways than like a simple arpeggiation. So if you were playing a simple arpeggiation, you might play something like Instead, what we're going to do is something like this. So before I break it down for you, let's start with a couple of good exercises for your left hand that have to do with arpeggiation. So for the first exercise, let's take a C major chord. And what you'll do is you'll basically play it up and down using your left hand. Imagine that you're taking this C chord and doubling it again, and also adding this upper C here. So you're having all of these notes, and you're going to actually play all of them going up and down, just without this particular E down here. So it's going to sound like this. Now, of course, this is a fairly fast tempo. When you're going to start out, it's going to be difficult, and you want to take it really, really slow. Let me just play it very slowly for you. So I'm using my fifth finger and my second and my thumb here. And then I sort of cross over with my fourth finger. I hit the E, and then G with my second, the C with my thumb, my first, and then I again do the same maneuver. E, G, C, and then I go down in precisely the opposite way. So G, E, and I switch back with my thumb underneath the E and play the same pattern, C, G, E, using my first, second, and fourth fingers. And again, I switch back with my thumb. I hit the C, use my second finger to hit the G, and then go back to C with my pinky. And this can be repeated, many times, and also with other chords. But start out with like something simple like a C major, and play it very, very slowly. And you can hold down the pedal. If you want to, it gives it a fuller sound. So the second exercise has kind of a triplet feel to it, and it sounds like this. And again, it can be repeated many, many times, and you should start playing it slowly. Let me just break down what I did here. Again, I played, just like the first exercise, a C, a G with my second finger, a C again with my thumb. Then I go again over, and I play the same pattern as before, an E, a G, and a C. but I don't keep going up. The moment I hit the C, I go back down, and I do it in an alternating fashion. So what I'm doing here is I'm playing the, once I hit the C with the thumb, I play this E with my fourth finger, then this G with my second finger, this C with my pinky, and now I sort of switch. I play this E with my thumb, this G with my fourth finger, and this C with my thumb, and I'm ready to hit back the C and go at it again. Again, start very slowly. There is a kind of a logic behind the fingering, and the idea is that the moment I hit this C here, what I'm doing is I'm imagining all of my fingers playing the C chord, and I want to move my hand as little as possible. So I'm going to first of all arpeggiate this form of C, so I don't have to really move my hand at all, just my fingers doing the work. And then I sort of shift to a second position of the C major chord, and again I arpeggiate it, but of course I only do two of them. I don't do this just because I'm at the end of the bar, and then I'm going back. I'm sort of preparing myself to go back to the C down here, and it's more comfortable doing so with my when my thumb hits the C rather than my second finger. Now, let's take a look at the arpeggio patterns I played at the beginning. And there were a few tricks there that I'd like to point out. So the first pattern is, let me play it slowly for you. It's C, G, with my second finger, D with my thumb, and now I do a turnover here where I hit E with my second finger, G with my thumb, and C with my second finger, G with my pinky, and C with my thumb, and I'm ready to go at it again. So played slowly, it sounds like this. This of course can be played for any chord, let's say for F. Or G. And back to C. So notice that when I play the G arpeggiation, I finish with my thumb on G, and that really gives me the sort of leeway I need to jump back down to C. Had I finished with any other finger on this G note here, I would have had a much harder time, making this sort of jump accurately. But if I finish my arpeggiation pattern for G on this G note here with the thumb, I can really make a pretty sizable jump and probably get it right. Again, it's a matter of practice. So that's the first pattern. Now for the second pattern, instead of trying to go back down, I keep going up. So I'll play it for you. Sorry. And this has two parts to it. First of all, it's syncopated. So it actually doesn't start on the downbeat of the bar. I play the melody note, which is on the downbeat, and only then I begin my arpeggiation. So a normal quote-unquote arpeggiation would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 notes. But this one omits the first note, so it only has 7. So let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now what I'm playing is I'm hitting this E with my pinky, B with my third finger, C with my second finger, G with my thumb, and then I repeat the same pattern. I just cross over my thumb, play this B with my third finger, C with second, and G with the thumb. And again, finishing on the G with the thumb really lets me jump back to the next note that I'm going to want to hit, which is going to be an F. So I can really make this big jump. So always think about the finger you finish with at the last note of the arpeggiation. And if you're going to want to go down, if you want to jump back down, it should be either a thumb or like the second finger or third finger or something like that, depending on the distance you want to cover. Now, so this pattern is syncopated. Also, it adds an additional note, which is this B, which is kind of like a sort of, I guess, a transition note that rings pretty well. If I just played this thing here, this would be a pretty interesting sound for a C major chord over a bass of E. And I'm just arpeggiating it. So it's syncopated, it keeps going up, and I also have this extra note, this transition note, which is kind of interesting to add in there. Now, the third pattern is this F, and again, it's syncopated. Notice that I don't start on the downbeat of the bar. So again, syncopation, and syncopation has one other advantage in that it gives you more time to sort of jump around. So if you end up your arpeggiation here, and you have this, this arpeggiation pattern going up, and you want to jump all the way back down here, you probably want to give yourself a little bit of breathing space. So by syncopating the next pattern, you're omitting the first note and you're giving yourself a little bit of extra time to jump around. It's harder to master rhythmically, but it's easier to master technically. Now what I'm doing here is so the notes I'm playing are F, C with my second finger, G with my thumb, then I go over here to an A with my second, C with my thumb, then I usually play the F either with the third or the second finger, and I end up on an A with my thumb. Again, ending on this with a thumb means I can easily jump down to the next note that I'm going to want to play, which is the root of the G major chord, because that's going to be my next arpeggiation. And the next arpeggiation is the exact same pattern as the first C major one. So this is exactly the same as this. It's not syncopated, it starts on the downbeat. So you have the first pattern is not syncopated, the second pattern is, the third pattern for the F major is syncopated, and the fourth pattern for the G major is not syncopated. So basically what you have here is kind of a bunch of different ideas that I've sort of thrown together to help you think about playing your arpeggios. And all of these ideas work fairly well with minor chords as well. Let's take something like A minor. So for A minor, the sort of equivalent for the first pattern would be something like this. It's sort of the same pattern, really. It's the same motion of the fingers. So you can use this same pattern both for major and for minor chords. Anyway, I hope I've given you some food for thought and some exercises to work on and patterns to memorize and hopefully enrich your playing. As always, start out practicing them very, very slowly. And of course, if you're a beginner, don't start with these. Go back to the sort of beginner video that I linked to the description to this video. And only once you've mastered those patterns, come back here and try the more advanced ones. That's it for now. I hope you've learned something interesting, and I'll see you next time.